I love this space because we're not just cutting the crap, we're calling it out. And we're not going to be using corporate jargon or buzzwords. And we're not going to spin anything. We are here to say the things that everyone's afraid to say out loud. Somewhere along the way, work lost the human component in human resources. And it's time for organizations to be held accountable, as well as, you know, driving that leadership that they advertise but don't actually execute. So that's what some of today's conversation is going to be about. It's whether you're living it or leading it.
Thank you so much, Becky. And I think I've already made my first misstep because my go live button didn't happen until you were talking. So my complete introduction was cut off. Anyway, welcome everybody that's here with us from around the world. We're glad you're here. If you want to be a little uncomfortable tonight, you're probably in the right place. We're going to do all things HR here, talk about some things that maybe your organization or maybe some companies that you know don't necessarily say out loud. Got a great group of panelists. We've got some legal representation, operational, strategic, human resource people, and we're going to get into who they are and why their voices matter this evening. So, Becky, please do the introductions.
Absolutely. I'd love to introduce Rod Samra. He brings compliance and equity lens to this conversation. It's shaped by decades of experience investigating workplace practices and holding organizations accountable to employment law. He's seen firsthand what happens when systems replace judgment and when leadership decisions quietly become compliance problems with real human consequences. So welcome, Rod. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Becky, and I'm excited to be here. I appreciate the nice introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Justin Jackson. Welcome. He operates in the realities of HR leadership, particularly advising leaders through complex employee relations, investigations, and high-stakes decisions across multi-site operations. He works at the point where leadership intent meets execution. That's something that's not entirely familiar nowadays. So he's a guru in making those things happen, and also where getting it wrong has real consequences for both people and the business. Welcome, Justin. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And next up, we have Catherine Fry. She focuses on the neuroscience of leadership, particularly how executives navigate burnout, decision fatigue, and high-stakes responsibility. Her work examines how those internal dynamics shape the systems, policies, and cultures people experience every day at work. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here, Catherine.
So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Next up, we have Gregory Liverpool. He offers a human-centered HR perspective shaped by lived experience and deep insight into how workplace systems impact neurodivergent employees. He challenges organizations to examine where standard practice unintentionally excludes people, and what it actually takes to build workplaces that work for everyone. Welcome, Gregory. We're excited to have you here today. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. And then we also have Andrea Munoz. She adds an operational leadership perspective shaped by managing complex projects, client expectations and execution in fast-moving, high accountability environments. Her insight reflects how leadership decisions and people systems actually play out on the ground and where timelines, customers, and teams all collide. Tori?
Becky, since I missed your introduction on the live, do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about you and your career path?
Sure. I bring a deep understanding of leadership and organizational behavior and the human side of decision making. Is this what you're referring to?
Sure.
Okay, great. I've spent my career navigating tricky situations and a lot of the corporate reality through my experience and also being a Keanu Reeves subscriber. I weave those types of philosophies into my practices, and I've learned a lot about what it takes to make organizations actually human. And I'm actually co-authoring, or I'm so sorry, I'm authoring two different books, and so um, be on the lookout for that coming hopefully this summer.
Thank you so much. As we continue, I just wanted to set the table with a few rules of engagement this evening. This is a professional space focused about work, leadership, people systems, and decision making, and the realities that happen inside organizations. This isn't a political platform, and we will not be advocating for any political ideologies here. If policy comes up, we stay anchored in workplace impact and professional responsibility, not political agendas. Everyone here, panelists and audience alike, is invited to this table with the same expectations: respect, honesty, and thoughtful engagement. Disagreement is always welcome. Grandstanding is not. We value nuance and accountability. If you're joining us live, you're not just watching, you're seated with us at this table. For the first part of our time together, we're going to stay in conversation here at this table with my colleagues, exchanging perspective, challenging assumptions, and talking candidly as peers. Jamie will be helping us in the background, monitor the chat, and pull in audience questions as extensions of the conversation. So please feel free to start sounding off in the comments where you're watching us from, where you're joining us from. I know that the registrations included across the United States, into Canada, and about 7 other countries represented in the registration. So we are excited to welcome everyone to this roundtable. And with that, let's pose the first question. I think we want to start with something that's everywhere right now. Applicant tracking systems, as we say in the HR world, ATS, and the growing use of AI in hiring. These tools are often described as neutral, objective, or just the system, but the decisions behind them are still human. So let's talk about that. When organizations rely on ATS or AI in hiring decisions, where does the human responsibility begin and where does it end? Panel?
I would like to talk about this topic, if I may.
Sure.
So really, I mean, to answer your question, Tori, really, your responsibility comes way before you even launch the system. Really, your responsibility comes with the vendor that you are purchasing or considering purchasing the ATS from. You have to know whether they are in compliance and whether they're asking your questions about compliance. You have to understand you have to make sure in the contractual agreement whether the vendor would be responsible for any lawsuits, any allegation of discrimination, or any kind of adverse impact. Those lines have to be clear. You have to answer. You have to ask your vendor whether they've done any kind of analysis, impact ratio analyses, or any other type of analyses to make sure their system does not discriminate. Have they tried it live? Was there any proportional examination of their system? All these questions, if you really want to avoid legal responsibility and any type of liability, your vendor or the vendor you're considering purchasing the ATS from have to give you clear and succinct answers of those concerns. So that's where you start from.
Mhm.
Uh, just if I may say one more thing, and your responsibility is it should be ongoing throughout launching the system. You have to make sure it is doing what's doing. It's not malfunctioning in a sense. It's hallucinating, what they call it in the ATS world. and you have to always doing an adverse impact analysis to make sure no one of qualified applicant from protected races are or protected groups are being excluded. So that's it.
I've seen AI. I mean, I would be amiss if I said we all, are not using AI, but I can love AI. And here's why. Because when I put in what I put in, it tells me what I want to know, right? So you have to be really, really intentional to give it all facets, right? Or
Yeah,
you do create bias
yeah,
and
you do.
discrimination.
I mean, AI by itself is not good. AI by itself is not bad. It's all how you use it. Is there a human in the loop? Are you monitoring it like anything else? Is it validated? Is it reliable? Just like any other tool you use in employment. Is it giving you the same outcomes every single time? Is there consistency? A human in the loop is what decides whether AI is beneficial or not. AI can help you with diversity. AI can help you with training, and AI can help you with equity. Any compensation equity can highlight for you, can show you gaps, all of that stuff. But it's all in the governance and in the use of AI. So it's a double-edged sword.
Absolutely. I actually, if you don't mind, Andre, I wanted to ask you if you could just share a little bit because you've been a talent acquisition director and you've had to deal with ATSs. So do you mind sharing a little bit of your experience?
Yeah, no, I'd love to. I think along with what Rod was saying, it's very important to the timing that you allow yourself enough time because if it's all about speed and rolling a program out, you're going to include a lot of automations and you're not really, I guess it's all about speed. And so you might auto reject someone who's rejecting that and why were they rejected? Did you really think about, everything, we are trying to do maybe 10 years of experience. And I think one thing, if they don't have that, are we not willing to train? And so for me, I was like, I would love to talk to people and screen them because it's all about attitude. And so sometimes, if they're not hitting all these marks on your wish list, then they're going to be auto rejected half the time and they might be more qualified than someone else. So I think giving yourself enough time to really understand how are we inclusive to everyone and not just rolling something out and then fixing it as you go is important.
Absolutely, Andrea. And just to add one thing, and from experience that AI ranks, AI filters out, AI parse applications, and all of that. So whenever you have a tool doing all of that, when the predictive AI and the agentic AI work together, and if there's no human in the loop, that's where the legal and ethical issues fall in that, and where the two circles kind of overlap between the agentic AI and the predictive AI. So if there's no human in the loop setting guardrails, watching what's going on, guess what? AI is going to decide for you, and you hope they made a decision that's not disproportionately affecting people that are protected. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't
yeah,
agree more.
thank you.
And ATS and AI are just the latest signs of a bigger problem. Leadership keeps passing the tough calls to HR because it's easier. So these hard decisions get labeled as policy, and then trust takes a hit, and accountability completely fades, and everyone else is left to clean up the mess. What's a problem HR is often asked to solve that really belongs to leadership, and what happens when leadership passes it off anyway? Justin, can we
Yeah,
impose on you to answer that?
yeah, of course. I've got some thoughts. I think when a leader says, you know what, HR, you handle it. I think that's when the real work actually stops. And the reason I think that is because if HR is just the catch-all to leadership issues or lack of leadership issues, they are, and we as a HR team take that on. We are then saying, yeah, leaders, we'll handle your difficult conversations. We will take that on, and then we will do the work that you ultimately should have. Something I like to do is yeah, I would love to help you with that. Let's do it. Whoa, hold on, that's your job. No, that's our job, so let's do it. But yeah, so I think the a lot of times HR is really there to be kind of a buffer, to, yeah, I don't know. I work with you every day. I don't want to hurt your feelings. I want to deliver clarity, but someone else is going to do it. So anyway, I don't know. Is that along the lines of what we're looking, or what we're after here?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think, Allie in the comments said HR is not the dumping ground for difficult conversations, but how many of us, how many of us have lived that?
Yeah.
When you have, I guess I could say a passive leader, or a leader that, doesn't want to engage. It's too difficult a conversation. And then it just becomes HR's problem, right?
Yeah.
It makes it uncomfortable. Allie, if you have more to put in the comments, please let us know if you want to post a specific question or want us to talk about something more specific that we've become dumping grounds. I think, we were talking before the live started, and, Becky said a really great comment that, HR has personality. We have personality, and gosh darn it, from the words of Stuart Smalley, we're funny people. We could be humorous in the workplace and have a
Can't
good
spell
time.
humor without HR.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right. And I think it gets lost when you have maybe leadership that isn't effective, or doesn't maybe have the right tools, but that doesn't necessarily mean it becomes HR's problem, right? We can coach leaders and we can help leaders, but it shouldn't become, if it becomes our problem, why aren't we the CEOs of the company?
That's true.
And
Oops,
to
did I say that?
yeah, and to illustrate Allie's point, I will say, if you're gonna get to know my sports mannerisms here, but there's an old saying in terms of soccer: if you're on the trail foot, you're aggressive. If you're on the if you're on the elite foot, you're aggressive. If you're on the trail foot, you're aggressive. And HR has always been on the aggressive, on the trail foot, because we are not proactively doing the stuff that may cause risk, or might cause a situation of hindrance within our own organization, such as, I'll say, since we're talking about ADSs, the ATS systems and stuff. I will say this until I'm probably blue in the face. A neurodiverse resume is a lot different resume in terms of structure than a normal person's resume, top to bottom, because it is basically around 70 to 80% skill and 20% type of work related experience. Some ADSs, in my own personal experience, was basically that I will not get past the ATS system, because I do not hit the type of keywords and the all that jazz type of lingo that's required in a resume application. This is one of the reasons why, according to LinkedIn, that recruiters have a 66% hard time in terms of finding hidden talent in a job market like this. That is a red flag in regards to the leadership, in regards to your recruiting efforts, your talent acquisition stuff, and a whole whack of stuff. If you want to get in touch with me, I will kindly forward you an email, a resume via email, and we will have a face-to-face discussion, because a lot of people who are neurodiverse are basically like the Indiana University football team, not the Miami University football team in that type of way, shape, or form. So yeah.
Gregory.
So I think Andrea can speak on that based on what Gregory has just said with regard to recruiters or companies that are hiring complaining about how standardized the applications are, and how similar to each other, and how hard it is to find hidden talent based on what Gregory said. See, the problem with this is when you employ an ATS system, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, because I know it makes the recruiter's job much easier, and it gives them like a nice set of applicants who are well qualified and all of that. But the problem is when your applicant has to pass an applicant tracking system that doesn't have judgment, that doesn't account for leadership, that doesn't look at all the things that are not included in the actual terms and the keywords. Of course, you're going to get a generic application. Of course, you're going to get the same, because applicants are trying to pass the ATS system. And like the old adage goes in technology, garbage in is garbage out. So you cannot, screen applicant using ATS and expect them not to use ATS in order to pass the first hurdle. Because guess what? If they don't pass the first hurdle, there is no human is going to look at their application anyways. So thus in lies the problem. It's a dilemma in a sense. You complain about people using AI for generating resume, yet you use an ATS AI embedded in order to screen those resumes.
I'll put a
That was
different
a great
spin on
point.
this
Thank you so much, Rod.
if I can. I several years ago, I was applying for federal government jobs.
Oh no! I'm glad you survived that.
And I kept applying, and I thought I can do this. I
Right.
meet the skill set. My resume shows everything. And so I started talking to some of the employees at that federal government site, and they're like, well, how long's your resume? And I said, oh, I'm in HR. It's max 2 pages. And they're like, oh, no, you need 30 pages. You need and I'm like, 30 pages? Who reads that? And they're like, oh, a computer system does. And I'm like, oh. So
no, it is what you ask for. Absolutely, I agree with you, Tori. I mean, this is it. You get what you ask for, and I know with the government, because I work for the government. If you don't have if you put your social security or you didn't put it in the right place or anything like that, can disqualify you immediately. And it's been like that even before everything was automated. People didn't know how to apply for government jobs. The only reason I knew is because I was an intern before I got my full-time job with the government, and I had
maybe that was an antiquated AI system. Right?
Yeah, who knows? It's probably the very basic foundation of AI.
Back in the day,
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago. Maybe they still use it today. I'm not sure. Some questions coming or
Yeah, I love the comment that I will just gonna go by initials BRS. He said, quote, ATS systems need to parse information better. Workday is the worst at it. No disagreement here. If data isn't parsed well, how can I trust the process? And he says, GIGO indeed, Ron. So I totally agree with that comment, and that's why I will say, with AI and in recruiting, we have not one, not two, but 3 related AI related lawsuits in regards to recruiting. That should be an alarming red flag for every single organization to basically have an HR audit and have a very candid conversations in regards to AI use within their HR departments, and I think that it needs to be led by industry associations that gives us certification letters to our names, and they need to establish that type of guidelines and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, speaking of lawsuits, I mean, Mobley versus Workday, that's been a case on my radar.
that's the one.
That's the one that's going to decide a lot of things because the court allowed Mobley to sue the vendor, who in this case was Workday, and we don't know if the liability, but EOC, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, say that the liability goes back to the employer who's using the vendor system. So it would be really interesting to see what comes out of it and how and how many lawsuits gonna spin off of it, because Workday is widely used in the HR world, and this is going to be very interesting to watch. I mean, let's see what's gonna happen and how it's gonna be interpreted. And if there is a guilty verdict, who's gonna shoulder the responsibility and the financial liability that comes with it? So, yeah.
Well, I know. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Rod.
Yeah, no, I just finished saying it's very interesting. Yeah, to see.
Yeah. From my experience, and from what I've heard from other HRs and other organizations, they are not given a whole lot of time to spend on setting up the ATSs. They have a lot of pressure to get it done really quickly, and so many gaps are happening, and so many things are getting missed, and then, if they do it wrong, then the hammer falls down on them because they're afraid to push back and say, this is impossible.
Sure. I mean, yeah,
and I think
Andrea
that's
touched on that. Yeah, I'm sorry.
no.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I said Andrea touched on that, and it's very true. I mean, the vendors will promise you the world, and if you don't stop and say, "Hold on, wait a second, can you answer those questions for me?" Yeah, you can launch it prematurely for sure. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Becky. But you.
Oh, no, I was going to ask Catherine, what her experience has been in, in dealing with ATSs and vetting candidates and things along those lines.
Yeah, I share a lot of the sentiments that have already been expressed, that a lot of the vendors prioritize efficiency over effectiveness. And that also translates into a lot of how a lot of HR practitioners have shown up in the ATS in the recruitment space, in talent acquisition. We think about efficiency, and we have to remember and always be thinking about the user on the other end, our clients, our potential employees, whether they come to work for us or not. What is their experience?
Absolutely.
And when you get an automatic rejection within seconds, minutes, even within a day, within 24 hours of applying for a company, the PR that is going to happen, the ripple effect on social media, we have to be thinking about these things as well. I understand the Paycoms, the iSIMs, the NeoGovs, the Workdays of the world, so many systems out there. But we always talk about putting the human back in human resources. And this is one huge opportunity that it's $1 billion idea. If we really maximize on the effectiveness versus the efficiency part, somebody's going to be making a lot of money and truly putting the human back in human resources.
What are you guys doing after this call?
I know. Right? I got nothing. Let's go. Just kidding.
No, perfect. Those are great points, Catherine. And then what about the flip side of it, where candidates are never getting a response? No auto responses, no rejections, completely ghosted.
Or one better than that, an internal candidate. How many people have I had lined up in my office coming to say, I applied for an internal position last night and got a rejection letter at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Why are our core values that we promote from within?
Exactly.
Amen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Catherine, when you were talking, it reminded me.
Apply for another job. Thank you.
Yeah.
Which basically is a black mark on your candidate experience, and a lot of HR people says it's not going to affect my professional standard within the HR department or the credibility of the company. Newsflash: Glassdoor is real.
It's real.
Yes.
Oh,
Comments are real.
Gregory, it doesn't even have to get to Glassdoor. The shop floor, the manufacturing facility, it's like the telephone game. It starts and then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it goes.
Amen.
And I have to say, thank you for bringing up Glassdoor, Gregory, because I've had several professionals who have said, HR folks on LinkedIn say, hey, you know what happens on Glassdoor? It's just disgruntled employees. What is that how you handle and think about your exit interviews as well? You know, it's so disconnected. I mean, that is completely inhumane and totally just, you know, it's a slap in the face for the people who dedicated their time and were so loyal, you know. Justin, just before I started saying that you were going to say something, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I mean just going off of that. Yeah, I have taken jobs where I've read comments and I'm like, no, it's not that bad.
Right.
Some places, yeah, it's that bad. And that's coming from the HR guy, so take it for whatever you want. But it's I think feedback is not always just because someone's disgruntled. There's great reviews on there. I mean, I use it quite a bit, but yeah, you find those and then you work in it and then you for sure see it. And unless I'm disgruntled too, you know, call me what you want.
Well, I'm going to say a really tough truth right now, and you know, whether you've experienced it or not, but I will say, we know there are companies out there who have put their HR on Glassdoor and on Indeed to boost up their ratings, and you can usually recognize those, you know. And you know, it's so funny because they can miraculously find time to go do that, but they can't spend that time to set up an ATS correctly or acknowledge their employees, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, just go talk to your employees.
It's like, how about we save the, you know, why instead of damage control, let's just do it the right way. Let's just focus on the issues instead of creating more and then having to, you know, do that. But anyways,
I'm so glad you said that, Becky, because I was about to say, raise your hand if you've ever had at least one member of senior leadership come to your door and say, hey, could you go to Glassdoor and put a comment, you know? And I'm like, oh, I made a great decision to be here.
I mean, we're really calling out the BS, you guys. We're yanking that curtain back. You know, don't get some whiplash there. But
and I really want to add just, I mean, I got my fuel can over here, and I just want to throw a little on the fire. So we're all talking about, you know, it all gets dumped on HR, right? We're supposed to set up the ATS. We're supposed to review it. We're supposed to make sure that it's selecting the candidates. We're supposed to do all of the hiring process, right? It's left up to us. Who's writing the policy about how we use the ATS or
Leaders.
how we use AI? Who does that fall on? It always falls on
leadership.
HR, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yep, here's me over here writing the policy. Yep, you're good to go. Please go see the screen. It's like, yeah. I mean,
so it's like the right hand doesn't speak to the left hand. I mean, it's just there is no continuity in the process. And yeah, absolutely, I see your point, Tori.
sometimes I think the right hand doesn't even know there is a left hand. You know?
the right hand only
Amen
knows
to that.
You know?
And sometimes it says, wait, I'm a hand?
Absolutely.
I was just going to comment that I feel like with everything that gets overloaded, we don't get to focus on the real issues that we were trained for, you know, went to school for, had the experience with, whether it be harassment or discrimination, because we're putting out those fires where someone was avoiding that. And so, you know, I think at the end of the day, we are that dumping ground, but we should be, you know, thinking about the like pay and policy, like you said. I think those will make a bigger impact than, you know, just saying, hey, let me be the mediator for this, or let me go ahead and do it for you.
Right. Absolutely.
Everything
But
gets
even-
delayed and pushed back, and those problems just keep getting bigger.
But even with building out those policies, I think a lot of employers like the ambiguity about it. They just want to keep it very vanilla, very just almost like a shell of a policy. And so it can be interpreted however, either they want. And if you interpret it wrong, then, smack on the hand. And so, Justin, I don't know if you have any response to that.
Other duties as required. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yes.
I've never heard of that. What does that mean?
Yeah. So
It's
this
on
is
every job description from here across the globe. Other
I just
duties
don't-
as assigned.
I don't know how that can be included though, because that could be, Becky, go. I've done this. I had at an old job, there was, we had a stairway, and on the floor underneath us, there was an orthopedic place where they sold shoes and stuff. And someone brought their support animal, and they left a little special present on the stairs. And I was asked to go clean it up. And I'm like, where am I? We didn't have those gloves back then. I'm literally taking like Target shopping bags and rubber banding them around my hands.
also it's duties, not duty. Okay.
I like that.
But I'm serious. They leave that door wide open. Other duties
That was
as
a good one,
assigned.
Jessica.
Exactly. So, sorry, I just took this totally, stage left. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Someone
What's
just
the
mute me.
number one thing you want removed from resumes
And
or
then I
job
just
descriptions?
kicked you off
Other
the
duties
stage,
as
sorry.
assigned.
No offense to my lawyer friends, but lawyers are really good at that, leaving you in the gray area. I mean, well, it's up to you. You run it this way, So I dealt with lawyers all the time. That's all I did, auditing and dealing with lawyers. But so they're really good at leaving you in the gray shadow and like make you leave it up to interpretation. So they're good at that. So
Yeah, and
You
they've
talk
always
to them
thought,
on Monday and it's one way, and you have to call them back on Wednesday, reading the same sentence to them, and they say something completely different, and you're like,
but yeah, they're good at that, definitely.
and I'm really frustrated that why don't we close those gaps? Why does there always have to be ambiguity? Because who does it work for typically?
Yeah.
Honestly, the employer.
Well, in HR, really, if you want, if you really want to set a policy that is clear and then no one can violate it, and you always leave a room, like you said, for responsibilities or other things that are not included in your job description that are open for interpretation. So your leader, if he sees it fit, he or she can ask you to do it. So. And you cannot say, hey, no, it's in the book. It's not my duties. So that's why I think, in my opinion, you guys have any other point of view on that?
Well, another time. I have a list. We're going to have another time on that too. But Catherine, I'd love for you to chime in with your viewpoints on that too.
My viewpoints go all over the place, honestly. I think, my perspective is a little bit, I think it's a little bit different. What's coming up for me as I'm watching the comments coming in, which are great. I love seeing where people are calling in from and what's really sparking some fire from the listeners is the words we choose and how we look at HR. And what I'm hearing a lot of, and maybe I may get roasted for saying this, it's a lot of learned helplessness. And hear me out on this. The thought of we are the dumping ground. We are dealing with difficult conversations. It's very fascinating to me. And remember, I look at HR through a neuroscientific lens now that I've been in it for 30 years, right? And I just wonder, unless we are part of the small percentage of human beings that actually love adversity. We are drawn toward it. We love to do mediations. We love conflict resolution. It's such a small part of humans. So when we're showing up in HR and leadership comes to us and deflects to us and says, I don't want to deal with that difficult conversation, why is it an us versus them with leadership? It needs to be more of understanding there are two basic human emotions, fear and love. And when somebody's showing up from fear, I don't want to do it, they're not coming from love. They're coming from fear. So how can we actually help that leader? We must start to understand when humans are coming from that fear. So it's just been, I know I didn't exactly answer where you were going with this, but it's just so interesting for me, having practiced HR in a very certain way for 26 years and using the same old language. Crucial Conversations has written 11 iterations of the book. Well, why does it have to be crucial? I mean, that's already, a progressive disciplinary policy. We don't have progressive success policies. It's just wild to me, the language that we use. And then a lot of us on this call who are in HR, when Justin Jackson's saying, hey, I'm the HR person, I totally get that. What are we identifying with? And no wonder we just get caught up in this. We're the dumping ground. And when we continue with that logic, we continue in those thought loops, we're going to continue to experience HR in the same way we have. We're going to perpetuate the culture. Leadership is still going to come to us, and they're going to perceive us as the dumping ground. And we just have to start showing up in a much more empowered way, in a different way, literally using different language. And instead of saying, oh my gosh, why are they coming to me with this? It's, why are they coming to me with this? So it's replacing that judgment with curiosity. And I loved what Rod said early in the very beginning, systems replacing the judgment. And I love replacing the judgment with curiosity. I just went broke.
Yeah, because in the comment section here, by the initials of H and T, he quote, Gregory, encourage employers to having an audit. I agree, but how often does an employer or an HR department say, quote unquote, come in and check my work, close quote, question mark.
Woo!
Being criticized is an issue for employers. Being critiqued is an issue for employers and their leaders. My response is, it all depends on the individual. I will say a lot of people will say, come and check with me in 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, a year, in regards to checking to see if I'm on the right path in regards to checking on their corresponding work. And you will get signals that you will not be on the right path or on the right type of situation very loudly and very voicefully in regards to checking up on your corresponding work on that. So that's one question personally, the first personalized question in this new podcasting venture. Yay.
I mean, I had employers. I had an employers tell the government, come and check on my work and make sure that I'm in compliance. I mean, it really depends, Gregory, like you said. So you might not envision that, or you wouldn't think you would invite the Department of Labor to come check on your work, but they were like, okay, we'll take remedial action now before we get audited. So I mean, that was smart. I used to tell them what to do, and other compliance officers used to tell them what they do, but not a lot of them would trust and would tell you, come and check out my work. But there are some that do. I mean, in my experience.
I love that, because then you're shifting it out of the us versus them into a partnership.
Yeah, absolutely.
We look at as a partnership. If OSHA is going to come in and do an audit,
yeah,
isn't that a good thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's
afraid of it. It's like, well, let's partner with OSHA.
Absolutely, right. And that's a smart thing to do. But like I said, their approach is, I mean, their rationale. I'd rather take remedial action now than to be standing before an administrative law judge and pull a punitive damage on me and then have to pay millions of dollars. So that's what marginal benefit versus the marginal cost. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Let me pose this question from a psychological maybe side of things. Do you think there are so many HR titles, right? We have HR clerk, we have HR generalist, we have HR admin, we have HR, I loved a few years ago when the term HR business partner came on the scene. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? Am I going to be seen as a true partner? Who am I partnering with? I love that. I love HR business partner. And then that wasn't accepted, I guess, and then it was about, you have to be a senior, you have to be a senior HR business partner, or, so where in the psychology did we not continue to be a partner? Because very early on in my HR career, I was taught from a woman it was a woman-owned business, and she owned a staffing company. And I'll tell you this story briefly. I give a shout out to Patty Penny, because she owned Penmax Staffing, and her first employee was Brad Pitt. She had been the VP of HR for a major hospital. And when she decided to start her business, Brad Pitt's parents
Brad Pitt
were her neighbors,
movie superstar extraordinaire Brad Pitt
in Springfield, Missouri. And she got the contract for the hospital they gave her first contract in the staffing world. And she said, Brad Pitt, you're going to wash dishes for me in this cafeteria at this hospital. And he did. But Patty Penny, shout out to her, because she taught me foundational principles. She was equal parts clients. We gained business, right? We took care of our clients. But who did we take care of primarily? Our employees, because our employees provided the paycheck. So I was taught very early on in my career, we are partners. We are partners with employees, and we are partners with leadership. And I don't know where that went.
So I think, I'm not sure if I'm right, but somewhere I read like the HR business partner, the business partner part of it is showing the shift from administrative HR to strategic HR, as I understand it. I don't know if that's the actual reason behind it, but I kind of read that somewhere. You just reminded me of your comment. Reminded me of it, Tori. So, there is. I don't want to interrupt, but at some point there is a really good question I would like to ask, or some of you guys want to ask. That is in the comment section.
Go ahead.
I want to wait till we finish the business partner conversation. Maybe somebody has another.
I know what question you're talking about, Ron, because I'm looking at it by the initials of NP. How to help/inform leaders not to be afraid of documentation/write-ups to staff that are low performers.
I love that question. That's really good stuff. Yeah.
Me too.
I don't want to interject, but at some point I would like to say something. If somebody else I want to leave the. I'm talking too much.
This came up in the news here in Canada, with the CRA, which is the American equivalent of the IRS, that there was basically, I will say, a performance review of CSR or call center staff, that they were wrong. I think it was wrong for between 30 to 40, maybe 45% of the time in regards to relating tax information to Canadian citizens. When I heard that story, I basically crumbled, because I am a person who had 7 years of experience in a call center position. If I give wrong information to a caller, that goes against my quality assurance score, as well as if it's uberly severe, I'm pulled off the phones and I'm in coaching or basically terminated. So this is basically, I will say that in regard to that nature, it needs to be, I will say, quote unquote, nipped in the bud, very quick, very at the first opportunity, as well as basically, I will say, lately, give them positive, corrective, positive improvements in regards to the performance, as well as that they should be progressive next steps in regards to improving their performance at he or she's related job position, because that is a very very interesting question, because I have been on the brunt of it, and it was not pretty as an individual on in a call center environment as well as a retail environment. And that basically compounds when you are neurodiverse and your quality assurances people do not see that it needs a little bit more. It needs a little bit more time for a person to be more, have better productivity per se. So that's how I see it. That is a very good question, and NP and stuff. So yeah.
So now that's good point. But whoever Navy Paul, I would tell you, if you want to convince your leader or informing them, helping them, whatever you choose to, however you choose to put it, not to be afraid of documentation. Actually, I would tell them to be afraid for the lack of documentation. I wrote an article, and a lot of you guys, thank you very much, commented on it and gave me good impressions for it. And that's one a big part of it was this topic in particular. It's on my LinkedIn, and it says six more most common mistakes employer make when dealing with EOC. This is actually the lack of documentation is what get you in trouble, because if you're not going to write up a poor performance, and if you want to be fair, do not ever write any poor performance ever again, because otherwise you are picking and choosing, and when you pick and choose, this is how liability come into the table, right? Because if you want to be consistent, you want to be on point. It's like the head of the stove. If anybody touch it, you're gonna get burned. But if somebody would get burned, the other no get iced, then that's when you're in trouble. Just real quick, I would say what I wrote here. I'm taking a look at it. Terminating someone for poor performance when their last 3 reviews say exceed expectation, giving verbal warning with no written follow-up, allowing manager to avoid documenting issues because they want to be nice or avoid conflicts, failing to record patterns of behavior until the situation becomes urgent. All of these are results of not being consistent and not addressing the issue the right way. So that's all I have to say.
And Rod, if I could just piggyback on that,
yes,
of how to help leaders. What was the question?
Inform, help.
Yeah. I think letting them know that you don't have to write like me. That's okay.
Yeah,
that's not your job. What I need you to do is write what happened.
Absolutely.
I don't want your you know what? I think HR would probably like this. No, don't think or write like me.
No, be factual.
Write like yourself.
Be factual without emotions, without anybody in consideration. It's like where you're watching a movie and someone sits next to you and tells you what happened, and then you just have to tell them what the plot is. It's just be factual and set emotions aside.
Write it like you're writing in your diary. You know,
or write it in your diary. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but that's a really good thing.
Yeah.
So I have a slightly different answer, because what's been described is how I went about HR for my first 26 years.
Right.
Performance improvement plans do not work. For the most part, it's so rooted in fear and judgment. And neuroscientifically, we know that when we do that, we're taking someone's autonomy away. So I answer the question a little bit differently. We in HR, we've been programmed and taught to tell. We've been taught to direct. Write the documentation factually. You need to write the documentation because that is what we need to do to help this low performer. Directing. It's very classic. The other approach, the slight tweak, is the advisement. Well, here's what I would do. Here's how I would say it, right? Very well intended. But the third option is more of a coaching principle. It's also based on cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's asking.
Great point.
In HR, if we stop telling,
Yes.
we start asking, why is it so important for you to document this? We're giving the autonomy to the leader. We're giving them their power, and then they get to tap into their own prefrontal cortex and say, here's why it's important for me to do it. So
Yeah.
it's an intrinsic motivator versus being told. And that's how we also mitigate and get out of being the dumping ground. We give the power back to the leader.
You know why I think performance PIPs, performance improvement plans don't work?
Yeah.
I think because they are perceived and used as the next step to termination, because it's really not about improvement.
Weapon.
It's really
Totally.
not about improvement. If they have to work,
Never.
then they have to be clear, objective, clear on what the employee needs to do, and it doesn't necessarily lead to termination. But this is it's been seen as the natural next step is termination after PIP.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think PIP really stands for preparing intended parting.
Oh, really?
I like it.
Because, I
Trademark
mean,
that.
really, honestly,
Really?
it's
Yeah.
not really to help them improve.
I
Yeah,
am
exactly.
Everyone knows
That's why.
it. Everybody
That's why.
knows it.
That's
honestly
it's not the
never-
idea of PIP. It's how it's executed, really.
I've
It's
honestly
a
never seen a
weaponization.
professional-
It's,
It is a weaponization, Greg.
It's a weaponization, absolutely. So
I've never seen someone survive it. Never.
not here. I have the battle scars. I have the battle scars for being a person who's neurodiverse, because to me, because I have never survived a PIP, and those PIPs have been used against me in terms of gaining a promotion, which is the most ultimate weaponization, and that's when it could get into legal ramifications. And I mean in terms of promotions, meaning hours are basically cut, or even when I was working in retail, being totally off schedule for a couple of weeks, and I have to basically scrunch out work time by people dumping work shifts that they do not want and stuff. So
Other
that's
duties
how-
as assigned. Yes.
Other duties as assigned.
Yeah.
Get you every
Tori,
time.
I think that we are going to have to, have a part two, to
I
be
know. I
continued.
know.
We've
It's
got this is a phenomenal panel, and I am
phenomenal.
just loving this, and just we should have done it for 2 hours. Anyway,
Well,
To be
Talk more about
continued.
Justin's duties. That I'm gonna borrow that, Justin. It's gonna be called the Justin.
I'm telling you,
new T-shirt idea.
that's a good one, Justin.
if you don't follow Justin, his post, I don't care if you don't let him hear me. I don't care if you skip through the bulk of his post. Read the close. Read the close.
That's
It's
where
a
you
mic
start.
drop every stinking time.
You know what? I've had about, that's probably number 5 people that have actually told me I follow you because of the close of your posts.
I'm going to start reposting you on my personal Facebook page.
Well, thank
Okay,
you. I
guys.
appreciate
I
it.
mean, how quickly did the hour go?
Way
I can't even. There's more to come. Before we go, I would like each of you to share one uncomfortable truth about work we tend to avoid, and one responsibility leaders can no longer outsource. We'll move through them quickly. 30 seconds for each of you. Becky, you go first.
Thank you. People first, total lip service. I mean, let's be honest. Leaders can't outsource that responsibility for their team's humanity and their well-being. Integrity is really key. It means showing up for your people, not hiding behind the corporate jargon and the marketing promos. But if you claim it, you live it every single day. Let's go to Rod.
Um, one thing that leaders cannot outsource is judgment. Really, I mean, judging things the way they are, judging them effectively, and judging them objectively. And one thing I've never, we were talking about termination. Somebody wrote, by the way, PIP is RIP, and I love that. Like, rest
love
in
that
peace.
too.
So,
Yeah.
I think
100%.
termination is
Thank you, Benjamin.
I think I've never been comfortable terminating someone for any reason, really, and I hate that, and I hate to tell people that your employer has terminated you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So those are my two things.
Thank you. Justin.
I would say, I guess besides my posts, if they make you feel good, that's great. But HR really isn't to make the work feel good. We're to help it survive. We're there to help build credibility among leaders, showing the employees that we're there. We we mean what we say, and I think that will allow companies to be sustainable and move forward. So, yes, what you hear from an HR person may not always be nice. I may hurt your feelings, but it's to move the company over. I'm not going to be a rude on purpose, right? But it's to move the company and move things forward, and that's what I'm all about. So
Awesome. Gregory.
To run that question back to me, I just want to collect my thoughts on the question. Run it back for me, please, and thank you.
You bet. An uncomfortable truth about work we tend to avoid and one responsibilities leaders can't, outsource anymore.
An uncomfortable truth is basically go against the norm. Seriously, I will say try something that is not been done in terms of normancy, and I will say to see what needs to be done is I will say what somebody in my network by the name of Tori who does First Nation type of recruiting efforts and stuff, that HR is a customer service focused related position / job / responsibilities, and treated as such. Because I will say this, because I have a person in my network who is a big thing in terms of the candidate experience and stuff. It's going to, I believe in karma, and if you do not act in a good way, karma's going to get you, and it's going to get you in one way, shape, or form, and especially when you're dealing with Gen Z, which I will say Catherine Fry will know the stat about, that 53% of Gen Zs have neurodiverse traits or are diagnosed as neurodiverse traits. In the words of John Cena, the time is now. We need to have a change and revolution in how HR is done, and I will done it because HR in a whole is basically operating on Apple iOS system 16, and we need to be operating on the latest version of Apple for 26 or 28 or what have you, what number it is at this juncture. So that's how I look at it, basically.
That's perfect. Thank you, Gregory. Catherine, we'll send it over to you.
I think I have so many things I want to say. Our thoughts are going to be true for us 100% of the time. We have to be mindful of our thoughts. We have to realize it's not about emotional intelligence. It's actually about thought intelligence. And that's where our power lies, in between our own ears. And we empower other people through understanding their own brain as well and leveraging that.
Love it. Andrea?
Yeah, so I would like our next session to be on accountability, because at the end of the day, HR can't fix what leaders, won't address. And so I think accountability is something you definitely cannot outsource.
Like that.
Ooh, perfect.
Yes, are we in for that as our next topic?
I'm down.
Wrote it down. Wrote it down. Really quickly, I want to go around the room again. We're over time, obviously, and hopefully people are hanging with us. But I want to give you all an opportunity to tell folks where to find you. If you have a website, or LinkedIn is the best place, or whatever you'd like to share, just very quickly, let's go around the room and we'll wrap this up.
Go ahead and start, Rod.
Yeah, the best way to find me is on LinkedIn. My HR consultant is in the making, so I will link it. It's a Samurai HR consultant. It will be on my LinkedIn. So yes, LinkedIn is the hub for my resources. If you need any help, please reach out to me at LinkedIn. Thank you for the opportunity.
Awesome. Justin?
I would say the same. Find me on LinkedIn. I will say that someone earlier in one of my posts this week mentioned something about T-shirts, and I'm gonna make them. So I'll post something about that here in a few weeks when I get that rolling. So
Cash App, Venmo,
Awesome,
or
Justin.
PayPal?
Love it.
say it again.
Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal? Is that?
All of the above. Sure. No,
Money orders.
We had
Money
some
orders.
awesome comments, and I was like, you know what? That's a great idea. I feel like HR could use some shirts, so we're rolling with it.
Nice.
Gregory?
Yeah, ditto to everyone. You can find me on LinkedIn. In the words of Deion Sanders, who is the head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes, I ain't hard to find on that particular platform. In the words of Curtis, home of the coach of the Indiana Hoosiers football team, in the semi words, LinkedIn me, basically. So I could basically, and I will say one of the insights of the post I made in regards to the 66% of recruiters having a hard time finding talent, I just had a brain intuition by that might be spin-off in regards to a newsletter type of situation. Might be the soft title might be GFL or Gregory's HR situation room, and I basically will post a newsletter anytime when a major HR situation is happening. Probably something spin-off from what the people of CNN, Wolf Blitzer, Pamela Brown does weekday on the weekdays and stuff. So yeah, you could find me there, and that's how I roll per se. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Catherine?
Gregory, you had me at Deion Sanders. Just
Right.
going to say that. Absolutely, amen. I have a website, www.Marble Peak Consulting, marble as in what sculptures are made out of, Marble Peak Consulting. And every Tuesday, I teach a workshop called HR Empower Hour. Everyone's welcome to join. You get Sherman HRCI recertification credits because I'm a partner with those organizations. Partner, bringing the word back. And this has been really fun. Thank you so much for including me.
Thank you, Catherine. Andrea?
Yep, you can find me on LinkedIn as well. So thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. And Tori, did you want to let them know where they can find you?
Absolutely. I'm so proud. I'm the founder and owner of 922 Solutions, and that's where you can find me, NINE22solutions.com. So please check out my new website, courtesy of 75 Digital Management. Becky, I'll let you do your closing comments, and then I'll
For sure. I just want to say thank you all so very much for joining us on our podcast. We will definitely have a part 2. I think we have a lot of people who still have a lot of questions that we can provide some great insights for. We've got a lot of fun stuff coming up on this podcast. We're going to have episodes about discrimination, bullying, harassment, DEI, wrongful terminations, and the real human side of work. We're going to have guests that are going to include employee side attorneys, employer side attorneys, HR superstars like the folks we've had today, and stories are going to make you laugh, cry, and think. So the taboo table, it's never going to run out of seats. We can't wait to keep one open for you. Huge thanks again to all of our guests and to Tori, and we appreciate all of our audience members for joining us.
So I'll wrap things up here. Thank you so much once again to our panelists for showing up honestly, and to everyone that joined us online virtually at the table today. Please know this is not a one-off conversation. It's the beginning of something great and ongoing. If this roundtable resonated, follow us. We'll keep pulling up chairs for the conversations that we can't keep avoiding. On behalf of 922 Solutions, I'm Victoria Forsberg, and we are fixing what's broken on purpose.
Thanks, everyone.